Hey guys, welcome back to this course. This is the part 3 of the course Android plus AWS project. So first thing I would like to highlight, this is the standalone video. So even if you have not watched the previous videos, still you can watch this one to understand the concept of API designing with OpenAPI or Swagger specification. So in this video, we will also create OpenAPI specification document for our project step by step. So you can learn how to write the open API specification document. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to understand, there are two terms, right? Open API and the Swagger. So we will see the roles of each one of them. Okay, but for now, the important thing to know that it both supports the design first approach for API implementation. Okay, so what it means, right? The design first approach means to design or describe the APIs or to document the APIs before implementation, right? So that it can be read by human and machine both before actual implementation, right? So the obvious question is why is it so important to design our APIs, right? So the you know you can take an example. So the importance of designing the APIs is as same as designing the layout or map of your house before start building them. So so you want to design the layout of your house before start building it, to make sure the outcome is well understood by the owner, builder, government officials or the workers, right? So how it will be at the end of the day, right? So it is the same, right? You want to make sure what outcome will be there with your APIs, and how different teams can use it, right? So you know you can see, like, these are the various advantages here. So it acts as a reference document. The first one is it acts as a reference document for all stakeholders, like your dev team, your project manager, program manager, your QA team. So all can refer this document at any point of time in future or during the development as well, right? The second point is, like, it acts as a contract between front end team and the back end team, right? So for example, if the document is agreed and reviewed at the start of the implementation, right? So at the end of the completion, it can be used to evaluate if the APIs has been delivered correctly by the backend team or not, right? So it can be act as a contract, right? Because it is a contract between front end and back end team. So front end team can start writing logic of parsing the data based on the information provided by the specification document, right? So we will see this later in detail, and we are going to do this in this course. So dev team need not to wait completely until APIs are getting ready if the design document has been provided, right? Okay. So the fourth one is helping the backend team. So obviously backend team can use this document to create the APIs quickly, in so there are different tools like CodeGen, right, which can be used by backend team to create the steps as quickly as possible, right? Or you can use these files, OpenAPI or Swagger specification, in any of the API gateway. For example, in Amazon API gateway, you can import these files and you can create the APIs quickly. So that we will see in this course, in the very next video we are going to build. Okay. Okay, so if you have understood the advantage of using Swagger, right, we can move forward. So the next thing that we need to know is how to these two terms are different, right? What is the difference between OpenAPI and the Swagger? Okay, so in the simplest term, in this URL you can refer the Swagger documentation has provided the difference between Swagger and OpenAPI. So in the simplest term, we have the OpenAPI is the specification, right, to describe the APIs, right? It is a specification that has been provided. It's a standard specification. Okay, and Swagger provides the tools, various tools to implement these specification. Okay, so these are some Swagger tools. So out of them, we are going to use Swagger editor, which is the browser based tools which let you create or edit the open API specifications. Okay, so YAML is the language, you know, that is used to create the open API specification document, right? JSON can also be used, but YAML is more, you know, human friendly. So YAML provides the way to write the, you know, uh, specification, which is equally friendly to human and the computer. Okay, so we will be using the YAML. Okay. Okay, fine. Yeah. So one thing that, you know, that is important to discuss, like till, you know, till version 2.0, it was known as Swagger specification, right? And then they have made some changes, and then they made it a standard, and then with some changes they have launched the version 3.0, and then it is known as the Open API specification. Okay, so till version 2.0 it was Swagger specification, it was known as Swagger specification, and after or from 3.0 version it is now known as OpenAPI specification. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we can move forward and we can see a sample, you know, sample OpenAPI file. So let me show you in a Visual Studio Code so it will be easily readable. Okay. Okay, so you can see, like, you know, this is your you know, basic Open API specification document. Okay, so you start with writing the version, right? Open API version, then you start with info, title, description, version, then you provide the URL, right, the base URL, then you write the endpoints. So inside the paths you write the endpoint movies, right? We will see in detail how we are going to. So in this lecture we are going to create this step by step. Okay, you can extract this. So this is your method, get method, post method under your movies endpoint. Then you have the get method inside your this endpoint with the movie ID parameter. Okay, so this is how it look like. I just wanted to show you in a high level how the Open API specification document looks like. Okay, so we will see how we are going to create this one. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So next is, you know, this is the cheat sheet you can refer. Okay, because in Open API specification document, it is very important to make the indentation, and it is very important to, you know, mark the objects in a hierarchy manner. Okay, so you can refer this thing. This is the document particularly, so you can refer. Okay, while creating the document. So we are also going to refer this diagram while we are going to create our document, right? So you can refer this thing. It may not make very much sense to you at this point of time, but when you understand the overall, you know, uh, overall structure, how we make this document, it will be very beneficial to you, you know, to refer it to me during the, you know, during the development or during the designing of the APIs. Okay. Okay, fine. So you know, there is a Medium blog associated with this video, so I will be sharing the link in the description below, so you can go and you can refer this diagram in the Medium blog. Okay. Okay, all right. So let's move on to next thing. Yeah, so what we are going to build, you know, in this video, for which APIs, for which requirement we are going to build our Open API specification document. Okay, so in our project that we are, you know, building throughout this course, these are the APIs that we will be needing, right? So the first one is, you know, the client will request, you know, to get all movies, right? The client will request to get all movies, right, with no parameters, and the server will respond with the list of movies, right? The second one, the client will request, you know, to get the particular movie, you know, by passing the movie ID as a parameter, right? The server will respond with the movie object, the particular movie object, right? Then the third one will be, the client will request to add movie on the server, right? And the server will return the success that okay, movie has been added successfully, right? The fourth one, the client will request to delete movie with passing a movie ID to delete a particular movie, right? And the client yeah, and the server will return the success with the deleted movie object, right? One thing to note, while, you know, in the third request, when, you know, when client requests to add a movie, it will pass a complete movie object that needs to be added on the server, right? And then the server will return the success, right? In the fourth one, it will request for deletion, and in the fifth one, client will request to update the movie rating. You can consider it updating any parameter on the server, right? So in this particular course, we are updating the movie rating parameter, right? So it will pass the movie ID for which movie we need to update the rating and the updated rating. So what rating we need to update, right? And then the server will return the success with the updated movie object, right? Okay. So to implement these these requests or these requirements, we need to make these 5 API requests, right? The first one is the get, which will get list of all movies. Okay. The second one is get the single movie, right, with ID, right? So by passing an ID, we need one movie object from the server, right? Then the third one is the post, that is creating a movie with movie object, right? Fourth one is deleting movie by passing an ID, right? And the fifth one is put, that is updating the rating with ID and updated rating. Okay. Okay, fine. So I think we can start building our OpenAPI specification document, right? Okay, so let's get started. So to start with, you need to go to Open Swagger editor. So this is the URL that will be mentioned in the description below. So it will be https://editor.swagger.io. Okay, and here you can write your OpenAPI specification document. Okay, so the first thing we need to start with is very important, that is OpenAPI version. Okay, so that is OpenAPI and the version is 3.0.0. Okay. Okay, so we can refer the diagram as well. So you can see in the root, the first thing is the OpenAPI, obviously the version thing. The second is info. Okay, so one thing you might have noticed that some boxes are blue and some are white. So the boxes that are important in this video or in this course, I have made it blue. Okay, and which are not used by this video are marked as white. But it's not like they are not important, they are very important. Just like security, it is very important, but for the sake of this course, we are not dealing with any type of security, so I made it white. Otherwise it is very important, right? So okay, so the first thing is the info, right? So we will be going and we will be making an info, right? Right. And how to read the document? Inside info, you need to mention 3 things: inside info, title, description, and version. Okay, so let's make it title. Okay, so it will be movie service, right? So movie service, right? Then description, you can make it to make movie data stored on the server. Okay, then version, so it is the API version, so you can make it 0.0.1, and you want to increment it as and when your API get revised. Okay, so this is your info object. After info object, there is a server object, right? So you can make servers. Inside server, one thing to note, when you want to mention array in the OpenAPI specification document, you need to start with dash. Okay, so in servers is the array. Okay, so you want to mention the URLs with array item. So URL, here we will be updating in the next video once we get the URL from the API gateway. But for now, what we can do, we can just make it https example.api.com/v1. okay, we will replace it by the actual URL. Okay, so this is done. Now server is done. Now go to security, we are not using. Then paths. Okay, so let me enter paths. Inside paths, what you need to do, you need to create your endpoints, right? So endpoints, the first one will be movies. Okay, first one will be movies, and through that what you can do, you can use get, that will return all the movies, right? And also you can use post, that will add the movie, right? You can create different endpoint, but you can consolidate the different methods in one endpoint if it is possible. Okay, so I have consolidated two APIs, that is one to get all the movies, right, and one is to create a movie, right. So we will be passing the request body with this endpoint only with the post method, and it will be added to the server. Okay, okay, fine. So let me create different endpoint because the parameter will be needed movie ID to get the particular movie. So I am creating a different parameters. So movies, right? Yeah, movies, movie ID. Okay, so when we want to define a parameter, we need to mark it as a curly bracket. Okay, and here get. Fine enough. And one more endpoint, because to update a rating we need the rating parameter as well, right. So movies, inside movies we have movie ID, right, and inside that we have rating. Okay, and this is your put object, right. So this is how you have created your 5 APIs. I have missed something. Yeah, I have missed the delete one, so let me create delete. Okay, so I have created the 5 APIs. There will be 3 endpoints. One is movies. Inside that it will support 2 methods, get method and post method. Then we will have different endpoints, that will support 2 methods, get and delete, okay, by passing the ID. And we have one more endpoint that will support put method, that will update your rating based on the movie ID parameter that you have provided. All right, okay, let's go to, so we have created our endpoints and we have created the methods. Okay, okay, fine enough. Then components, yeah. So components, I am just making the first layer once, and then uh, I'm going to come down and we'll create the rest of that. Okay, so components basically provides us the reusable thing that we can create. Okay, the schemas, schema refer to the models, in Java, that the model class that we know, that is the same as the schema. Then responses, what all the responses will API will be written. So if multiple endpoints or multiple methods use the same response or use the same model, what we can do, we can create the schema and then we can refer it in any of the endpoints or the methods. Okay, so we'll see. So in this video, what we are going to do, we are going to create a schema. Okay, the first thing we need to create a schema, because that will be referred in multiple endpoints or the methods. Okay, so let's create components. Okay, and inside components you can refer from here. Inside component there will be schema, right. So schema. Okay, so in schema, right, and then what you need to do, you need to write the schema object that you want to build. So I want to build movie, that is my schema object, and then properties. Okay, and then you can mention what all properties you want to mention here. Okay, so for now, okay, let me make movie ID, sorry, movie ID, and you need to mention the type is your string. Fine, then movie name, right, then type is your string, then movie price or description type is string, right, then your movie price maybe, right, movie price, then that would be type of maybe we can take integer or float. Okay, we will see what all different parameters are there. And there are movie rating, right, that would be of type integer. Okay, so these are the things. Fine, 1 second. Okay, so it is integer. Okay, also one thing you need to mention, you need to make sure, like, if the parameters or if the schema or the model parameter is mandatory, you need to make the you need to make the entry inside required. So our movie ID and our movie name are marked as mandatory. Okay, so we'll see how it will be different from optional one. Okay, okay, fine. So we have created the components, right? We have created the components. Okay, cool. Okay, now back, let's come back to our methods. So we have created all the methods. Now we need to mention the required details, right? So let's start with get movies. Okay, so in the get movies you can see you need to mention these four things. So first one is operation ID. So just to provide an ID, so let me take, we can use the same functions in the API gateway. Okay, so operation ID is get movies, then summary. Okay, so you can mark to get the movie list. Okay, then summary, after summary you have request body object, like, but that is for post method only. So now as we are dealing with get this time, we are not considering this one, and we will come to responses. Okay, so responses, under responses you need to mention the response code, right? So let me take you, okay, 200. So what it means, the get method will not receive anything. It will return the movie list. It will return you the responses, which can be 200. Okay, fine. Okay, so after response code, okay, you need to mention the content, what type of data it will be returning, right? So content, so inside content there is a content type. So what type of content it will return? So it will return application.json. Okay, after that you need to provide the schema, right? So schema, okay, so you need to follow this one, right? Responses inside 200 code or 400 code or whatever you want to do, and then you need to mention content, then content type application/json, then schema, then after schema type and all the things. So after schema, type would be array, right? Array of list, right? If type would be array, then you need to mention the items, and then you need to mention the item type, right? Or if it is not the primitive type, then you need to refer it. So if you want to refer anything from the component section, right, you need to use the $ref keyword, and and you need to mark as uh, hash symbol, then components. Okay, then components, right, then schema, right, and then your object, right? Just okay. So this one, so what it means, let's understand. The get method, when the user or the client hits the movies endpoint, right, it supports the get method when you send without any parameter. So, and with the get method, it can return you 200 response, and with the 200 response it is going to return you an array. Okay, and the array item type will be movie object. So each item will be of movie object, and it will return you the array. Okay, so we have done with the get thing, right? Okay, and one more thing, you have to provide the description thing. Okay, so successful success. Okay, cool. Okay, so now we are going to build the post one. Again, the first thing is operation ID. Okay, so let me, you can do you can mention anything. Okay, so create movie. Okay, summary, adding movie on the server. Okay, then response. Okay, so it is post, right? So we need to make the request body as well. What type of request body server can expect, right? So when it is a request body, okay, post method, the first thing is required. Okay, whether it is required, it is mandatory or not. So it is required, right? Uh, because it is required. Without that we cannot create movies, right? So it is required, so required will be true, right? Okay, and then the same thing, content type and all. So let me mention content. The content type which client will be sending is the application JSON, right? Then schema, right? And then what type of object it will be. So again, referring the same thing, movie, right? Okay, cool. Cool. So we have defined our two things like get method and the post method. Yeah, responses are missing, sorry. So we have done the request. So what kind of response it will return? So let's make the response thing. So in the responses, you know, we can make 200, and when it will return, so we can just make the description thing. Okay, success in creation of movie, in creation of movie, right? So we have created the get object, get method for movies endpoint, and we have designed the post method of movies endpoint. Okay, okay, cool. In the similar way, we are going to create this one and delete one. Okay, okay. So okay, so before that, before making any designing for the methods in this endpoint, we need to mention the parameters, detail about the parameters. So this is the parameter, right? Movie ID is the parameter. To define that, you can see, if you come here inside the path, inside the endpoints, that is movies or movies slash movie ID, the one thing that you can should mention parameter if there is the any parameter, right? So what we can do, we can define the parameters here that will be, reusable for all the methods that you are defining inside that particular endpoint, right? So let me parameters, okay, and in path. So because it is in the path, you mention here is path. If it is in query, you mention it is a query. Okay, then name is your movie ID. The name should be same, right? Okay, required or not, so you need to mention if it is required or not. So yes, it is required. If you want to get the movie with particular ID, you have to mention the movie ID, right? And you want to mention the type, right? What type of it is. The type would be string. Cool. So this is how you mention the parameter. So movie ID parameter you have defined, right? Okay, so now in the get method, you have to follow the same thing that we have done with the movies endpoint. So let me do it quickly. Operation ID, get movie, okay, then summary, getting movie with particular ID, okay, then responses, right? Responses, then again 200, right? 200. Then you have to mention description. So it is movie written, movie with given ID is returned, right? Because we are returning the 200 response, right? Yeah, then content, inside content, we have to mention the content type, that is application slash JSON, right? And then schema, and what it will return, it will return reference. We need to refer the movie. Does it make sense, right? So when user hit this endpoint, right, with get method, right, this particular method will get invoked, and what it does, it will return the movie with given ID, right? And what is the schema has been given by the movie, and that we have already mentioned in the component section, right? All right. Okay, let's do it for delete quickly. operation ID, right? Delete movie. Okay, summary, delete the particular movie with given ID, right? Okay, responses, so 200, right? Description, movie deleted, because if we are returning 200, that means movie has been deleted, right? Then content, then content type, application slash JSON, right? And then schema, what we will be returning, movie object, sorry, dollar ref movie. Okay. Okay, so let's see one more type of response. So come to this hierarchy, this particular hierarchy, right? And just use 404. Okay, so we want to return this particular error code when we are not finding any movie associated with the ID passed by the client. Okay, so we can use a description and we can use a message movie not found. Cool. Okay, this is how we designed the get for movies endpoint, post for movies endpoint, then get for movie slash movie ID endpoint, and delete for movie slash movie ID endpoint. Okay, so last thing we need to do is to mention the put or the update operation, right? So as I said earlier, if we have parameters, we have to mention the parameters, and there are two parameters, the movie ID and the ratings. So we have to mention those two. So let me quickly do that. So in, because these are both on in the path. Okay, so name, it should be same. So movie ID, right? Required or not? So yes, it is required, because if you want to update the movie ID should be there, right? And description, movie ID, schema, right? Schema type string. Okay. Okay, the next, in path, name should be rating, right? The same name should be same, so we can copy from here as well. Okay, name should be rating, right? Required, yes, it is required. We need, if you want to update the rating, the updated rating should be there, so it is true. Okay, and then you can provide a schema type integer. Okay. Okay, fine. So we have mentioned the parameters, and now we can make the put request designed or the documented. Okay, so the first thing is same, operation ID, update rating, then summary to update the rating with given ID and rating. Okay, then responses, what responses it will return. So again 200, in case of 200, we have description, updated, update success, right? Then content, same, content type, application slash JSON, right? And then schema, right? And what it will return, it will return the updated movie. So dollar ref movie, right? Let me make one more response type, 404, in which the description is movie not found. All right, so in this way we have created, or we have created the OpenAPI specification document for our APIs. Okay, so you have observed, right? When we were building this document, it is creating all the nice UI looking things here, right? So the name is movie service, it is version 0.0.1, it is OpenAPI specification document 3.0, It is a description to make movie data stored on the server. These are the servers. You can make any server, you can make here more servers like URL, okay, and https https prod dot example.com/v1. So here you can select from any one of them, right? And you can hit from, you can try it out or any point or any services you want from here as well. And as you have mentioned the schema of model, you can see the nice looking object that has been given to you, right? In the post method also, you have your object here. You can make the changes and you can hit the service from here, right? So you can see we have created the OpenAPI specification document, right? The get method for movies, post method for movies, get method for movies with movie ID, delete method for movies with movie ID, and put method for movies with movie ID and rating, right? And this is our schema. So you can observe like star symbol, the red color star symbol that has been given to them because they are the required parameters. Okay, so yeah, so this is how we create the document, and the advantage of document we have already discussed. And in the next video we are going to use this document to create the actual APIs in a very very quick manner. It's just importing this document and that's all. And also we can give this document to front end team. Front end team can use this to parse and to handle the error responses, to parse the movie object, right? Or what type of parameters, what type of URLs they need to make. Okay, so these type of things front end team can start working before till the APIs are getting ready, right? All right, so I think, yeah, so we have created this one, right? uh, so in this video, right, we have created the open API specification document with Swagger editor, right? So this is the tool that we are using, Swagger editor, browser based tool, right? We can create any API doc with using these, right? Okay. So that's it for this video. Please let me know if you find any difficulty creating the API specification document. Also, there will be a Medium blog associated with this particular lecture, which will be which will be containing this diagram. Maybe I will refine it more, but you can refer this diagram while creating the document. So it will be very 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 helpful to you, because it helped me a lot. I have created this document, and after that it helped me a lot. So it will be very beneficial for you guys also in the earlier stage of writing the document. Okay. Okay, thanks guys. So in the next video we will be using this particular document that we have created in this video to create our APIs in Amazon API gateway. Okay. Okay, thanks for watching.